Everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. Okay, today we're going to be talking a little bit about Frog and Toad, and we're going to listen to this Frog and Toad record, which is super awesome. So, if you've never heard of Frog and Toad, basically there was a series of children's books written, I believe, in the early 80s, and there was multiple ones. This is a set of the, you can tell what reading level I'm at, guys. I'm on level 2, but I just love these stories. More on that in a second. But there was a series of books about a frog and a toad who were best friends. They are great stories. And no, this isn't Mr. Toad's Big Adventure or whatever from Disney. This is a different Toad. But interesting, it's just a really charming set of storybooks. And this is a scholastic record with the author, Arnold Lobel, reading a couple of those stories, or part 1 and part 2 of one of those stories. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start the record. It's going to take a while to play, and while it's playing, I'm just going to show you some pictures. Now the pictures aren't going to match up to what we're hearing, but they'll give you an idea, and it's just super charming. My wife actually got me started on this. She was like, "This is great stories. We got to check this out." So I went out and I bought this box set just for us because they're just really charming stories. They're really great, fun to listen to. Tried to get our kids interested. They weren't as interested as we are, but so anyway, this is a 7-inch scholastic record. I did some research to try and find out, who made this. It is a pretty thin and flimsy record, but it's a kid's record, and not to be no big surprise there. So it is 7 inches, 33 RPM. It's got the small hole there. We're gonna be listening today on the Marley Stir It Up turntable, the first gen. Some folks have told me they've come out with a newer one that may be improved. This turntable, a lot of people ask me about it. It's bamboo. It's got a lot of interesting design features and sustainable materials and stuff. But the float point is non-existent on the tone arm. That's kind of frustrating. Hold on, the bird's going crazy. So he doesn't want me to hold him either. So I just wasn't as enthusiastic as I should have been. But anyway, it's been sitting there in storage, and I thought we'd take it out and use it today. Just try to spice it up, use some different equipment. I did upgrade this with the Ordofano M5E cartridge, and just for today's purposes, we'll be using this little portable speaker. Same one we used yesterday on the show for the Wizard of Oz stuff. So without much further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and let it roll and probably not talk much more, which is, yay. But we'll look at some pictures from the books and just enjoy, guys. Just have fun. Now let me make sure the speaker's on.
Powering off.
Okay, it was on, so I just turned it off.
Powering on.
Make sure the volume is cranked up. For some reason it resets to a low volume level. So, without further ado, here we go, Frog and Toad.
My name is Arnold Lobel. I have written and illustrated a book about two very good friends of mine. The name of the book is Frog and Toad Together, and I would like to read it for you now. The Garden. Frog was in his garden. Toad came walking by. A
little help there.
Nice.
There we go.
But it was hard work. I wish I had a garden, said Toad. Here are some flower seeds. Plant them in the ground, said Frog, and soon you will have a garden. How soon? Asked Toad. Quite soon, said Frog. Toad ran home. He planted the flower seeds. Now, seeds, said Toad, start growing.
Just occurred to me we might actually have this one in here. Oh, we do. Cool.
Toad walked up and down a few times. The seeds did not start to grow. Toad put his head close to the ground and said loudly, "Now, seeds, start growing." Toad looked at the ground again. the seeds did not start to grow. Toad put his head very close to the ground and shouted, "Now, seeds, start growing!" Frog came running up the path. "What is all this noise?" he asked. "My seeds will not grow," said Toad. "You are shouting too much," said Frog. "These poor seeds are afraid to grow." "My seeds are afraid to grow?" asked Toad. "Of course," said Frog. "Leave them alone for a few days. Let the sun shine on them. Let the rain fall on them. Soon your seeds will start to grow." At night, Toad looked out of his window. "Rat," said Toad. My seeds have not started. I must be afraid of the dark." Toad went out to his garden with some candles. "I will read the seeds a story," said Toad. "Then they will not be afraid." Toad read a long story to his seeds. All the next day, Toad sang songs to his seeds. And all the next day, Toad,
Scratched up.
And all the next day, Toad played music for his seeds.
Now you know I was in the free bin.
Toad looked at the ground. The seeds still did not start to grow. "What shall I do?" cried Toad. "Do!" cried Toad. "These must be the most frightened seeds in the whole world." And
Good grief.
Toad felt very tired, and he fell asleep. Toad, wake up," said Frog. "Look at your garden." Toad looked at his garden. Little green plants were coming up out of the ground. "At last," shouted Toad, "my seeds have stopped being afraid to grow." "And now you will have a nice garden too," said Frog. "Yes," said Toad, "but you were right, Frog. It was very hard work."
All right, guys, so that was a demonstration of a very good book set, characters, collection, and story, but not a great example of a wonderful condition record. And obviously, kids' records got beat up. They were handled and abused and all that good stuff. So that's why they don't sound that good today sometimes. Although the sound quality when it wasn't skipping was fine, but must have a pretty deep scratch in there. Plus, could a lot of it be this turntable, because you can't find a float point on this thing at all. So you have to kind of spitball your tracking force and anti-skate and stuff. So could be the turntable as well. But anyway, I hope you thought that was fun anyhow. Frog and Toad. If you haven't ever heard of these guys and you're interested, check them out. I mean, there's just really fun stories. There's a handful of books. I think it's like 4, maybe 5 books. And sadly, the author passed away. Sad story there, but great story, great legacy left behind. And again, it's not the same Mr. Toad's Wild Ride from Disney or whatever. It's a different character set, but interesting. So that's going to do it for today, guys. Happy record hunting. We will see you tomorrow.